It's
Got
not
it.
that serious. Welcome. Let's go. That was
You
the
gotta start us off.
that was the intro. Welcome back. And until it ain't that serious.
All right. All right. Well, we're off to a start. I wouldn't say good one. We're off to a start though.
Hey, let me do me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You want the
Be free.
energy? That's you. You want the
Authenticity? That's me. Look at that.
you got me.
You gotta wait. I didn't change my name again. Come on, Jay. This is what I'm saying. You're supposed to tell me these things, bro.
Sir, at some point you gotta get it together for yourself.
Oh my god. Normally what happens is someone's like, oh, I'm changing my name. Hey, you should change your name too.
I changed my name a long time ago. It's been like 30 minutes.
Touche. Touche. Go ahead.
Not my fault. Would you like me to start over?
Nah, I mean, go ahead. We already in it. We already in it. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Not you mad.
I'm not.
Seems like you need to practice some self-care. Get that energy to the right place.
I see what you did right there. I see what you did right there. Okay. Jay got jokes today, y'all. Jay got
I
jokes.
just decided, we can't come with this new energy, new background.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we ain't been recording here the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Tell us more. Go ahead.
Okay, anyway. Let's get started because, I don't know what you're doing over there, but
I'm waiting for the podcast to start. I'm doing the same thing as everyone else watching. I'm just waiting for us to get started. But go ahead.
Already started. You're supposed to match the energy of the start.
Touche.
You missed it. Okay, so I'm gonna throw over to you because you're supposed to get us started anyway.
You see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? She's gonna start for 10 minutes and she's like, you know what? I don't even want to start. I'm gonna throw it over to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Go with your cookout talks. Go ahead.
Today's topic is self-care.
Mm-hmm.
So before we start, we're going to do obviously our little cookout talks or the conversations, but I'm going to start by defining what self-care is. So verbatim definition of self-care is the practice of individuals looking after their own health using knowledge and information available to them, which y'all don't use because we got the internet. TikTok and Facebook don't count. It is a decision-making process that empowers individuals to look after their own health effectively and conveniently in collaboration with health and social care professionals as needed. I don't really know about the health and social care professionals just because I think that's a kind of a privilege aspect. But today's topic is what is self-care. So I'm going to ask Jay off the top. I'm going to ask her some different self-care methods. And you tell me if that's more modern or more tradition. And two, if you actually indulge or take part in this type of self-care. Start, for example, vacations, traditional, modern, and do you take part in vacations as a form of self-care for yourself?
I feel like that's traditional. I feel like vacations have turned into something else now, but traditionally I feel like that was a form of like self-care. And I love me a good vacation.
Okay. Taking days off work, modern, traditional, do you take part in that form of self-care?
Dang, I'm about to tell him myself. Not really. I feel like the last few places I've worked, I've had unlimited days off of work, so it doesn't even feel like self-care at that point. It just take off when you feel like
Touche. And because they give you all the days off, you don't really take them. That's how usually how it works. Okay. Meditation, modern, traditional, do you take part in it?
Can I ask a question? When we say modern, traditional, like how far back?
I'm saying, and I think traditional would be like, in my thing, I feel like we'll say your parents did it because then it becomes a tradition because you're keeping that tradition alive in the sense.
Black people,
I won't go on
self-care a few years ago.
Oh, I know, but there were some people who maybe come from affluent backgrounds who may have one parent who's of one parent of the, you know what I mean? Who,
Okay. I'll say it like this. I think meditation is traditional to the original thoughts and ideas around self-care.
I like the way you worded that. Do you meditate, Jay?
Yes, but not in a traditional sense of meditation.
Okay.
We'll get
You
into
care
like
to elaborate?
there's different ways to meditate.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But do you care to
And
elaborate on how you know, have put your spin on it?
yeah, I think one, it has to do, well, I feel like in general meditation is just like taking a moment and
Mhm.
like either focusing in on one thing or shutting down your mind to like just relax. So
Mm.
I feel like when I meditate, I have on like lo-fi music.
Okay. Hey,
But
I love
like
lo-fi. I
right,
mess with lo-fi music. I ain't gonna
right.
hold you.
The specific R&B like hip hop version. Let me be
Mm.
specific.
Okay.
Um yes, I feel like I'll have that on. Sometimes like I'll be thinking about a specific thing. Sometimes I'm just like, let me just chill out for a second. Like if you saw me, you would just be like, what the heck is she doing?
Yeah.
Because I do it whenever.
All right. All right. Chill out. Chill out.
Go ahead. What's your next one?
Now, this is the thing that a lot of people don't. I guess the female version of this could be pedicures, but I'm gonna say massages. Traditional, modern, and do you partake in massages?
I feel like that's a little more modern. I mean, I like a massage. I don't necessarily. I don't put that with self care. Only because I don't, in general, like strangers touching me. So it
Okay.
doesn't feel like a. It's more like I got a knot. I need you to get to it, but like I still don't want you to touch me. So it's a balance of like out of my. I'm not relaxed
Okay.
in this moment.
I got you. I got you. I'm always I've That's a conversation I have quite often. And every person that I or not every person, a large majority of the people that I have this conversation with don't, one, view massages as self-care, and two, don't get massages. A lot of them allude to your point regarding someone touching you, but I bring up the reference of this, like your body in the grand scheme of things is a machine. So keeping that in mind, we'll use a car, right? After you drive so many miles, we'll say, I don't know, 3,000 miles, which is the average was it length of travel that they recommend for most cars, your typical oil change for your oil to be changed. So the average person has gone their entire life, they don't stretch, they don't get massages, they don't get adjusted. So
But see, you got
essentially,
a lot of different things
oh
though.
no, but I got you. But I'm saying we'll stick with massages specifically.
There you go.
They never get a massage. So I'm like, essentially, you're not servicing your body. And I get some people are like, oh, I work out, oh, I do this. But yes, working out is equivalent, I would say, to, taking your car on a long road trip, flooring it, opening it up, building muscle, cool. But you still have to service your body. So I think, what are some ways that you service your body that you are comfortable with outside of massages?
See, I think that's interesting because for me, part of my self care is working out. For multiple reasons. I don't know if it's partly connected to the physical part, partly connected to
Mm.
like mental. So I think it's a balance there, but like hot tubs, massage guns, all the
All
not
the above.
that I
Okay.
don't mind massages, but like it's just not it's not a
I
form
feel
of
that.
self care. But
Shit. Okay.
not everything is self care for everybody.
Say no more. I'm on the opposite of the spectrum. I listen, man. I'm not real quick. I'm not being racist. My actual masseuse's name is Ling Ling. I will not like we can pull up receipts. But no, they have these poles that they'll pull out the roof, and she'll hold on each one, and she'll start crip walking on my back. And I'm telling you, man, back afterwards, man, I feel like a new man. Let me tell you. I thought she was moonwalking on that thing, hitting the gritty, everything on my back. But like Santa, she'll put on like 4 pairs of socks to be in that thing. It, listen, man, the right massage will change your life. And there, I think I've gotten to the point where now I prefer deep tissue, not much of a Swedish massage. It's just like relaxation. I need someone to get in there with that elbow grease. You know what I'm saying? This is a random caveat, but if you're not keen to getting massages, one, they are very expensive, so I do understand that aspect. Go to a massage school. Obviously someone is learning. That's for all, I would say, beauty and or body packages, from pedicure, facials, estheticians, hair, everything. You can go to school and get it for like pennies on the dollar. You go get a massage, but I went to the school because I went to my brother. My brother had never got one, so I took my brother when I went back home, and I had this. I needed deep tissue, and they were like, "Oh, are you okay with a male massaging you?" I was like, "Yeah, that's cool," because usually, I'm not even gonna say that. Don't even worry about it. But I was like, "Oh yeah," because then he'll, actually, I need someone to like just like get in there with their elbow. So this dude comes out, I'm talking about maybe like 6'4", a little hefty, like big dude. I'm like, "All right, now we're talking." But buddy's about to put the elbow grease. Bro, I get in there. I'm like, damn, bro, you are trash. I'm like, yo, like, don't be afraid. Like, you're not gonna hurt me. He's like, and I specifically asked for a deep tissue massage. And I'm like, you know what? You need to do some more time in school. So I came back and I was like, called my masseuse Ling Ling. I said, hey, you got it opening today? She has like a shop, and I was like, gotta come through. She got in that thing. I get now. She get. Ooh. Next thing, came out feeling like a new man. I was so disappointed after that one. I'm telling you, man. So make sure you have the right masseuse as well, because
Yo,
people be scared they're gonna hurt you. And Ling Ling's like 110, and she be going to work, man.
yeah.
So
I feel like you got to test out a few people for sure, for sure. Cause like there's some people that they be scared. Like they feel a knot and then they avoid the knot.
yeah, I'm like that. That's where you should be at. That's the area of focus right there.
Exactly. I'm like, why would you? I know you felt that. I
Yeah,
felt you felt that.
yeah,
And then you went to the other side like it didn't exist. That, yeah.
yeah. I'm
But
actually going to get.
no,
I'm going to get a massage Sunday. Side note. Go ahead though. How
but
about
the
facials?
thing about the schools, the beauty schools, all
Mm-hmm.
absolutely are. Oh gosh, it was a long time ago.
Oh, story time. Go ahead.
No, our like family hair person was a teacher at a beauty school, and she did our hair for like years on years on years. She had
Mm.
us looking right. Get the teacher. I mean, we tried a few students, but to get the
Ain't
teacher.
it? Ain't it? Hey, I do not go there to get your haircut though. They will mess you up, my guy. I went to the school one time to get lined up. I said, "Oh, this is like when I was like 16. You know, you need to line up." I said, "Oh no."
That's
Walked out of there. I said,
worse.
"Yeah." Sometimes you realize you don't make the right decision. So certain things you go for, certain things you can't. How you feel about facials? And this is the last one.
Facials are cool. I will say I am not paying anyone to give me a facial. That's the
I guess it makes sense
difference.
because I guess women are more prone to knowing that area and stuff. So that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and it depends on like if you're like once in a while getting like an extreme one, but like I do facials once a week. I'm not paying someone to give me a facial once a week. That's too much.
Touche.
But
Touche. I'm on the opposite end. Like I won't a couple of my friends like go and get facials often. I will never go get a facial because I don't have enough surface area on my face because of my beard, and they don't offer any discounts to individuals who have facial hair. And I feel like that's the most disrespectful and just trash business model you get. Like, think about it. It's like my face and someone else's face who has their entire chin line and bottom, and I'm like, you're gonna charge me the same as this person, and you're only getting this little area right here. Come on, man. You're not gonna scam me. And I've asked that before. Hey, I have a lot of facial hair. Do I get any type of discount, or is it cheaper because you're using less products? It's gonna take less time. It's less work. All valid claims, right? Nah, big fellas won't price everybody. My bad. Get out of here.
not necessarily because I feel like yes, you have less surface area, but you still get the same work, the same amount of time. They just hit the same spots a few
I don't know, man. I don't look. All I'm saying is, for
it should be
example,
like 30 minutes. All right, we're gonna put the stuff on, we're
nah,
gonna get the woo whoop whoops.
big fella. They don't treat me the same. They don't. So like, so when I meet an esthetician who is aware of this issue in society of individuals with facial hair and they adjust their prices, you got my business. But
People
until
don't have
then,
to get paid.
I know. But Jay, is it's like having a car wash and charging the same amount for a Fiat, a 2-door, a 4-door, and a Suburban. You're not gonna do that. Each car takes more product, more time, more area that you must cover. So that's why there's no universal price for car washes. If you're actually getting the full detail and wax, is what kind of car you got? A 2-door, you got a 4-door, you got a truck, pickup truck. Like, come on, man. Like, let's follow the business model. It's already out there.
I disagree, but it's cool. All right, what other question you got? Because I got my questions too.
Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna pass it over to
We
you.
ain't even
Yeah, because the good thing think about it. We did my questions, then we did your 10 minutes of BS. We about 30 minutes in already. Go ahead, though.
5-10 minutes. Oh, heck.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
You're trying to be shady today. Okay. Mine are a little different.
Okay.
But I think it's gonna lead us into some stuff. But I'm gonna start on your level. What would your ideal self-care routine be?
Routine? Can you give me like a time span, like monthly, weekly, daily?
Whatever you set for yourself.
So you just want like my self-care regimen?
We'll do monthly.
Monthly. On average each month, I get 2 massages. I think that's very, very I think that's a necessity. Usually getting the hair braided depends on the month, but I say on average, I average about once a month getting my hair done as well, which is probably the biggest expense that I have. Line up twice. We'll do once a month.
To you?
Yeah. Come on, man.
We're gonna get there later. Go ahead.
Okay. Say no more. Yeah, a lineup. Probably 1 pedicure a month. That's in there as well. And then last thing for me is kind of just like a form of self-care for me is just like after I get that lineup and or massage or pedicure, I sit in the car for I'll like come home, sit in the car for like 30 minutes, an hour, and just play like some just like high quality music in my opinion, which is like I think most people don't have a good taste in music. So I'll just sit in the car, high quality music, and just like jam out for like a good 30 minutes. So right after that relaxation has set in. Last thing is, sound weird, but I'm a huge like pineapple / orange juice guy. So I'll like put on a movie and just like sip on some orange juice or pineapple juice, and I'll just like those are my like I think my self-care routine for the month. What about you?
Interesting. I think mine's a little different. So I usually take a day out of the month. Like I pick a day and I do all my self-care in one day.
One day?
Like all my out of the usual self.
Yeah.
Stuff. Like I'm into journaling, writing, all of that. Like that's like a daily whatever basis. I go to the gym. That's like a 4-day-a-week basis. But like there's one day where I'm like, okay. Basically, I say I'm taking myself on a date. That's how I explain it to people because it's too much.
Okay.
So I'd be like, okay, I got date tonight. I usually do something like physical, either nails or I haven't done a lot of massages, but like nails. What was the other one that I did? I'll do like a facial or something like that. Sometimes I pay people, sometimes I do it myself. Food is a big one. I'm a seafood girl.
Really? Okay. That's a different form of self-care.
Seafood girl. Seafood is expensive.
You like lobster?
So yeah, lobster, crab. Like I'm so big on seafood. So like
they got money.
That's why it's once a month.
Okay, go ahead.
I usually get something that like I really like to eat, but it's not in my budget. Like it's not in my everyday budget. It's just like this is what I want. And I also eat a certain way. So like there's certain stuff that I don't eat on an everyday basis. So self-care is like, all right, girl, you in good. Let me get this over here.
All right.
So for sure that. And then I think the other piece of it is like, I don't talk to nobody the whole day. It's just me, myself, and I. I'll go shopping by myself. I'll go to the movies by myself. I literally do not answer the phone. I usually tell the people that contact me, I gotta turn this thumbs up off.
They're trying to buy herself a way out. That's why she don't be replying to people.
that like I'm having my self-care day and I just don't interact with people. But also for me, and we talked about it, I'm super introverted. So taking time away from like talking to people is the best self-care for me, hands down. Like I could be in the house doing nothing and I'll be the happiest person on earth. Just taking me time.
That's so interesting. I think that the fact that you take it and do it all on one day is, I don't know, it's so intriguing to me. Like for me, I feel like
Well, the big stuff. Like there's stuff that's already a part of it. But I
oh
think
yeah, no, but I
big
mean like
stuff,
the fact that you like use a whole day for relaxation once a month. I don't know if I could. I feel like the peak for relaxation would die off for me after like a few hours.
no. But I also feel like you're more on the extroverted side. Like I need a full day because I need to
To
contact with
recharge. To
people
okay, fair
for
enough.
a
That's
full
fair.
day. And then
That's
I'm
fair.
just like, well, if we taking the day anyway, we might as well put some activities in here.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel what you're saying when you put it that way. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, this is my last one. I only asked three. Two?
Okay,
Two. This is
there
my
might be two. Go ahead though.
but this
Jane,
is
do her
probably the
home.
most
Go ahead though.
important one
Yeah.
that's gonna lead us into like some good stuff.
Okay. Oh my bad.
What does what are your environments, families, friends, the culture around you? What is like the predominant thought around self-care for them?
I think spending money.
Mm.
I think honestly, and that's why I think I have a different. I think that's why self care is so hard to truly articulate, because I think, like I said earlier when I read that definition, is I think it said social and or professional advisors or care. And I was like, if you have the privilege to have access to that. So I do think people think that you have to have money to actually enjoy and or indulge in self-care. And I think because a lot of the things that we mentioned, I think just in this last 10 to 15 minutes, self-care opportunities and or things to do cost money. Like I think maybe one or two we named didn't cost money, you know? So it's like what you said earlier. And I think that's why you mentioned earlier, like Black people who just started doing self-care. I think they didn't have the opportunity to do self-care. So yeah.
Interesting.
What about you? What would you say that thought is?
Interesting. I think, well, I'll go with my family. I think self-care is like important to my family, but all of them, like, that's their, they're like social workers and like therapists and like do that type of stuff. So I think like there's a good understanding of what self-care is. I think we also like everyone has their own style of self-care. I think we're less likely to like spend money on our self-care. Like, don't get me wrong. I think all of us will say like self-care, like we love to travel. We would love to do that.
Yeah.
But if you break it down into what we do on a regular basis for self-care, it has nothing to do with money. Nothing to do. Like, it's stuff that you could just do.
Yeah, well, listen, just know I won't be doing no self-care with y'all. We not spending no money. No, I'm kidding.
Don't say you having a self-care party and all you got is notebooks in here. No.
That's crazy. Hey, I'm just imagining you guys having a self-care party and I'm showing up and I got like, my little eye thing that you put over to cover your eyes. I bought like a little backpack, a little blanket, and I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. What's going on?
But I think that's really what it is. Like, I think you talk about, certain stuff. And I also think there's ways to budget around stuff. Like, sometimes it's like, okay, we're going to do a self-care day. Somebody brings in some facial stuff. Somebody brings in the massage. Everybody got a massage gun. Everyone in my family
you right.
some type of massage something.
Yeah.
The gun,
the little 3-prong thing you put on your chest or your back. Yeah.
I have this other one that's like a massage chair thing that like it's not a chair, but it's a portable thing. Like, I think I got 3 myself. So it's certain stuff like that. Sometimes we'll invite our niece. We'll be like, she'll take turns walking on our back. That's free.
Hey, look, you know Jay, your favorite auntie. Get in here and walk on my back. Stop playing.
It's free. She got a little wild one time and started jumping up and down, but
Yeah, that's too funny. That's too funny.
So
Okay.
I think it's part of that. But I guess that's the question that I want to dive into is like, I think there's so much hype and buzz around what self-care is, to the point that I agree with you. I feel like people feel like they have to have money or spend money to practice self-care.
Yeah.
Why? Where did that come from? Why is it even hyped up that way? That's what, like, what do you think? What's the reasoning?
Well, my honest opinion, because I think we're talking about we'll start with our community. And I think it's because I think it's fair to say a large majority a large majority of our community is in poverty. So when you're in poverty, you're typically in a constant state of stress. So you're always working, at least mentally, up here, because you're trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay the bills, how I'm gonna get food on the table, how I'm gonna do this, how I'm gonna do this. And then usually you have siblings, and or if you're the parent, or let's say you're the parent, you have kids, you got to worry about where they're gonna get to, how they're gonna get to point A, B, and C, and usually you have multiple kids. So I get it. This is like one of those things where like I understand, because it's like when you spend money for self-care, you're usually paying someone for a service, which requires you to do absolutely nothing. And for that hour of time, or that 30 minutes, or those 2 hours of relaxation, you can just be present in yourself and just do nothing, don't think about nothing. And I think that's a rare opportunity and or privilege that a lot of people get who are in poverty, because like I said, you're always thinking, you're always trying to get the next thing, like your life is constantly on go. So when you're in that constant stressful environment, that's that one space where you can just, okay, I finally get some relaxation from the kids, from whatever, from my life. And it's kind of like an escape. It's like I think those self-care things that we're talking about, like massages, pedicures, that's the appetizer to an actual vacation, which you may not have the means to go on. So you can't go on 7 days or away from your life, but you can get 30 minutes or an hour. So let me take that and enjoy it as much as I can. So I do get it. That's one of the hard things about, which is why I think spending money becomes a part of self care, just because it's the only time they truly get to relax. What about you? What are your thoughts or ideas there?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think it does have to do with money, but I think even more than that, it has to do with history and the mindset, especially for people of color. I think
Mm-hmm.
it has to do with like historically, even now, like we grind, we work, you grind, you work, you grind, you work. Like that's how it was. And I also think the other part of it is, realistically, self-care was not created for people of color. The
Oh yeah,
buzz, the
definitely.
hype, all of that stuff. Like when you go back and look at self-care, like it was a conversation for white people by white people. Sorry, not sorry.
Hey, she said it, not me. I'm just kidding.
That's legit what it was. It did not include
Yeah.
people of color until the last few years, where I think people started to realize, like, if anybody needs self-care, people of color need self-care. And that's where the whole like self-care is a form of resistance like came from, is when you take care of yourself, you're resisting the historical, you're resisting the present, like all of these barriers,
Yeah.
isms, all of those different things like happen when you start to take care of yourself. But I think the difference is nobody walks people of color through what self-care looks like for people of color.
Mm.
Right? Like when we talked about meditating earlier, I was like, I'm not going to kumbaya. Like that's what I think most people of color, like when they hear meditating, that's
Oh
what.
yeah, 1,000%. Look, go. Hey, go to the right. Look, join the right conversation of black people and tell them you meditate, and they're gonna roast your ass for about a good 30 minutes.
Right, but it looks so different, and like I think that's the other thing. Like you tie self care in into like schooling and stuff like that, like they're teaching kids now how to practice self-care or even social emotional learning through a white lens. So it's like, of course, now as a kid, I'm like, well, I don't like self-care because that's what self-care looks like. And I don't have the money to do that, or that just don't fit. The thing that changed my life, I found this one self-care app around meditating. I opened that thing, it was for Black people. First of all, they named their different stuff like fire, water, da 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 da.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
He's like, that's my zodiac sign. Hold up. Look at that.
They might be on to something. But it was just like a different way of meditating. Like, you know, you can meditate when you're angry. That looks a whole different way than the like the background music, whole different way, like everything. And so yeah, I just think
Yeah, I think you might have hit the nail on the head with that one. I think that is I think it's a two-part battle. The first part of the battle is they always say like people of color aren't receptive or very hesitant to, you know, new health practices and or self-care, let's say theories and or research, but it's like that's half. That's the half that you see. The half that you're not seeing is that, like you said, it's shown through a white lens. So of course we're not receptive because it doesn't connect or relate to us. Like you're speaking another language. So if someone's like, hey, if you have mental health issues, if you just meditate like this, it's like, boy, if you don't get your goofy ass out of here, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not how you connect versus, and that's why I think it's so important to, like you said, just have whatever we're talking about, have it articulated through the lens of a person of color, you know, and because that's it. And I think, as you said, all these practices and our research methods, they're discovered, or let's say, won't discover it, they're brought to fruition or to light by a white person. So therefore, of course, it identifies and aligns with what white people are doing. Like I always tell people, this is a random topic, but corporate culture and or dress code is how white people dress. It's no difference. That's all it is. So it's like, of course, they're gonna buy into it. Oh yeah, we should wear suits because that's just what they naturally want to do. Like white people from affluent backgrounds, or just I'll say in general, from the age of damn, I would say 10, are wearing damn thigh shorts that are khakis with Sperry's and the collared shirt. Like they are bred for this. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it don't make sense. So, and I think that's the thing is like finding ways to make things receptive for our community, and that it's going to take us to do that because there's no intrinsic value for them to do it over there outside of profit, and that's it.
yeah. And then again, I think like I'm not gonna say I think some people do try, but it goes back to like exactly what you said of like you're trying through your own lens and that doesn't work because even the way people explain like why we need self-care is so different.
Oh,
So,
100%.
so different. And what you need
100%.
self-care for and da 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 da. But I think the other part of it is like you said something. Oh, what did you say? Oh, around not trusting medical stuff. I'm like, duh. No.
Stupid.
Duh. Like, do you know how many times y'all have experimented on us people?
Or lied in general to us? Like,
Lied. The thumbs up is killing me. Remind me to turn it off. But like the lying, the like experimenting on, the like all of these different things that like, you know, and not even that, like even, you know, they're like, oh, eat better as a form of self-care. Okay, well, stop putting a McDonald's on every block.
and why don't you make grocery stores accessible to poverty-driven areas? You don't. You know how far you have to travel, and you're talking about a group of people who don't have actual modes of transportation, like actual cars. Then also the bus route is so inconvenient. Like, come on, bro. The system is flawed. That's it. That's the plain and simple. The system's flawed. You don't got a grocery store, but you got a McDonald's, a Wendy's, and a Crystal's on the same block. Okay, all right.
That's exactly what it is. And it's just like it doesn't make sense. And I think that's the difference. Like going back to what you said, like your definition of self-care in the beginning, that's not how I would describe self-care. I don't think any person of color that I ever talked to or like been to a training about self-care that a person of color has run has described self-care like that.
100%.
Because that's not what it is. That's not what it is, I think, for people of color. And that's not what it should be for people of color. Because what we need for self-care, there's so much intertwined into why we should be practicing self-care, what we need. And then just to get in the right mental state to even be like, oh, wait, I deserve and need self-care for myself. Until you get over that, you ain't.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
I've always said this, and I think just based off our society alone, our social construct, and how things are, like as a person of color, you're set up from. I always say you're set up for failure from birth, and if you can make it out of that failure track, oh my gosh, you can accomplish so much, and everyone can. But it's like, for example, what do they always say? If you eat better, eat a well balanced meal. Try to eat organic. Those are the best foods. Okay, cool. And that one conversation, you just told me that in order for me to live a healthy life to set my brain up for success, I now need to spend 150 200 plus more dollars each week. Like, come on. But the foods with the processed sugars, high amounts of sodium they want to stay away from, guess what? Box of ramen who could actually feed a family. Literally, I can get a 10-pack, 20-pack for $1. Look how much sodium's in that, Jay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like what we said, survival versus thriving. And it's like you can't thrive if you can't survive. So you have to survive first to get to that thrive point. But the problem is the behaviors, the food habits, the methods of living in that thrive phase are so detrimental that you'll never make it to the thrive. In the survival phase, so you'll never make it to thrive. So, like I said, man, it's one of those systems that's so broken and flawed. It's like, where do you start? You know?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. All right, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do because we gotta start. We gotta start bringing it down. Tell me about your own self-care journey. Like, when did you hear about self-care? When did you start to take it seriously? When did it become important for you to practice self-care?
I would say not until probably like later in college. I think understanding what self-care is, it was I would say the epiphany for me. Like my mom growing up would go get pedicures, go get massages, but you can see someone doing something, but until you understand the why, you don't get it. Like, of course, it's relaxing. Oh, I'm going to, pedicure or massage to relax and, or, take care of myself, make sure I look presentable, the full nine and things of that sort. But I never understood because at that point, I say when you get to college, that's when I think like actual stress can set in the sense of like, oh, what am I doing with the next 20 years of my life? Where am I going to work? Am I going to move? Things like that start to set in. It's like, oh man, like I actually need to give my brain a break. Like I think I went through my first like ever burnout was either like I think my senior year of high school, but I was like at the college full. So I was like a weird paradigm there. And I had just went through like 2 weeks, bro, where I was just like, my brain was fried, Jay. Like I didn't want to do anything. And I was like, what is this that I'm feeling? So, you go to Google, they're like, motherfucker, you dying. You got cancer, So I was like typing in everything like, I'm feeling this, feeling this. They're like, are you thinking about committing suicide? No, I would never do that. That's not something a person of color does. Yeah, I'm like, I was Googling all this stuff and it was like, you've gone through like a burnout. And that's when I realized what that was. They're like, how do you, one, mitigate a burnout? And it's like, and that's when I realized I had to start saying no. And it's like that one situation led to these steps of like getting to a place where it's like, okay, everything you do long term doesn't really matter because like you can do all this now, but like if you don't make it till 10 years from now, was it worth it? No. So it's like putting myself first, understanding what it is to have actual autonomy over your life and planning to set yourself up for success. And that's why I said it's like that's what was the phase where I like truly learned myself. And this is like I want to do all this stuff, but at the same time, I'm gonna burn myself out, which I'm no good at that point or no use to anything that I want to do or accomplish because it affected everything like personality. Like I was telling people I want to talk and they're like, you all right, man? Like, I always want to talk to people. And it's like, I didn't give myself the space to just, like you said, recharge. sometimes it was, and I was at the point where it was just too late, and I had to go through that burnout period. So greatest, worst thing that happened. What about you? Where would you say where you learned what self care was, or started to make that change?
Oh, geez. Oof. Honestly, I feel like it's an ever changing journey. What? But I think probably ooh, definitely during school, probably like during my master's program is what end of undergrad is when I realized about like self care and how much I needed it.
Okay.
Like there's so much that happened before that. I've always written. I've always been a writer. Like I always write, journal, da 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 da.
Okay.
Um, and I think that's always been like important, like a form for me to like practice self-care. But I think once you get to like college and you run out of time to do stuff that like actually brings you peace. I feel like that's why people
100%.
it's
100%.
a lot. But I think it had to be like my senior year. First of all,
Damn, Jay.
get real, yeah, because I'm gonna get real. I'm gonna get real quick. Like 4 minutes,
Senior year.
real quick. Yeah. I think before that of like undergrad, uh, there's so much that happened. Like I was working multiple jobs. I was always people's like emergency call. There's so many things happening like around me and I felt like I was taking care of so many people and I crashed and burned
Mhm.
bad. And on top of all of that, like I think a few years earlier, this is a side story. It's kind of funny, but kind of not. It's kind of funny, but kind of not. But it's truthful. Like I think a few years earlier, probably like sophomore year, I learned that I had depression. I had depression basically my whole life. Didn't know what it was
Really?
until I got to college. And the same thing with like anxiety. Like I had anxiety attacks before I got to college. Didn't realize it was a continual thing. We were just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a one-off. It's
Yeah.
just a one-time thing. We cool. So there's so much. Like I had mental health like things that I also had too that I just never addressed. Like ever. I think it hit me until senior year was like, nobody's gonna take care of me until I care for myself. And if I want to keep doing some of the things that I'm doing, like I love helping people, I love supporting people. I can't do that unless I'm in the right space to do that. And so I really like, I quit everything my senior year. And I literally just took a year of like, this self care, I'm not talking to people I don't have to talk to. I'm not going to events I don't have to go to.
Mhm.
I'm not dealing with anybody's foolishness. Like it was just a year of me. I was going to yoga, I was writing, I was performing, I was doing things that brought me joy and happiness and relaxation. And I think that is really what self-care is. Doing things that bring you joy and bring you back to a place where you are your best self.
Mhm.
I think the world pulls you away from your best self, whether it's mentally, physically, da 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 da, and self care is that thing that brings you back to self.
Yeah.
That was kind of good. Okay, that was
No,
it.
that
Lots
was
to
good.
choose.
No, that was good. I think you touched on like two huge things where I think it's hard for people of color to actually reap the benefits of self care. And I think one is I think every person that I meet, and obviously a person of color I'm referring to right now, nothing against anyone else right now, just specifically this, is helping someone or is wearing someone else's burden because they're not strong enough to get through it. So obviously, I think people of color are some of the most empathetic, passionate people that I've met, and they're always, and that's why I always say like the connection that I think people of color have with each other, obviously from the struggle, the full, it just builds this relationship that is very, very intriguing. And I don't have words for it still to this day, but it's like it's so amazing, but sometimes that could be our demise. And I think it is in a lot of times as well, because it's like when you really think about it, everyone is struggling, but even in my struggle, I'm still gonna find time to help you with your struggle. So it's like, when do, like you said, when do you focus on yourself? And that's what I think the biggest issue is in our community. It's like we never help ourselves, not because we don't want to, but it's because we're too busy helping everyone else. And by the time we get ready to help ourselves, it's a traumatic event. Sometimes a lot of people don't recover from that event, whether it be mentally, physically, or emotionally. So that's huge. That's very, very
Yeah.
huge.
And I feel like when even when you do try to like practice self-care, it really, you either got to have a strong mindset or have the people around you, because I think that's also part of it, is like there's this mentality, which is sometimes great and sometimes not, that like when people are in need, you show up, you do what you have to do. And I think a lot of times when people of color talk about self-care and wanting to do self-care and like say this and that, a lot of people are like, that's selfish. Like, and it is. It's like saying like, oh, I'm not, somebody's having an event that's like a family, blah, blah, blah. And being like, oh, I'm not going to that because I just need some time for myself. And, just being like, that's selfish. That's your cousin. You need
Listen,
to go support them. Like,
you're
chill.
touching on something that I want to talk about in a future episode, but I think that's what leads to some of the nuances and or areas of friction between like our friendships with other races and what we expect from people and what they expect. It's like, hey, can you do this for me? It's like, oh, I'm busy. I gotta go to the gym. And you're like, go to the gym. I'm asking you to do this. And it's like, it's that weird, it's what you're talking about now in regards to, hey, it would view as selfish, but it's not. So I'm not gonna bring it up, but I did want to note that we're definitely gonna talk about that, because that is huge in regards from the expectation of what you expect from others. And I think that's something that's hard to gauge just based on, like I said, how you're raised and things of that sort. But right there, yeah, that's a good talking point right there. So my question is this. So
Your closing question?
yeah. Closing question. So alluding to what you said earlier, I think it's so hard for people of color to reap the benefits of self-care, and essentially self-care never fully gets access because of this. I love analogies. The analogy is, let's say you want to live a healthy lifestyle and start working out at the gym, right? If you go to the gym, let's say 2 times a week, Jay, right? But as soon as you get out the gym, you eating McDonald's and drinking a large Coke, you're not really taking the gym lifestyle, not taking it serious, but you're not reaping the benefits because you're literally doing the opposite of what you just did. So I think that the equivalent to that is, we'll have these moments and or set aside these times for self-care, but then we go back into one of the heaviest stress-induced environments. So it's like we don't really get to, we rent self-care. Like we don't get to actually live in it. And I think that's the hard part. It's like having a nice car. It's like, oh, I have a beater every day, but I can go rent this car on the weekend. Oh, it's cool. But then I go back Monday through Friday and have this beater. And that's what I'm thinking, where I say like it's hard for us to buy in, is because like we never reap the benefits. So we never see the actual change that it has on us long term, because we go from self-care to right back into a stress-induced environment immediately, like the flick of a switch as soon as you're done. So how do people avoid that? Like what are changes there? Because I think that's the biggest obstacle right there. And why I think we don't believe in it is because we can't see the results. I mean, you can't see the results, you're not gonna buy in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's why I say, like, I think it's really important about your environment and who you surround yourself with. And I think the other part is like setting boundaries um, around certain things as well. But I do agree. I think self-care is super hard, especially for people of color, because you can't, like, it's hard to break out of a lifestyle that you've been living. And then on top of that, like there's certain things that you can't walk away from that are part of, it just is what it is.
Mm.
And I think that's why it goes back to what we said in the beginning of like self-care looks different for people of color because of that exact thing. But
Yeah.
because in a lot of spaces that is not talked about or how it is taught, it doesn't stick. So my advice is find you a person of color who knows about self-care, not a friend. Go a professional, watch a video or
A lot of free resources out there.
right, from a person of color, because they do a really good job of explaining that and walking you through that. And I'm gonna just drop I'm gonna tell y'all a resource that I really like. They're called Beam. And they do basically all of this stuff for Black people. They're the Black Emotional and Mental Health Collective.
W's in the chat for Jay. W's in
They're so good. I've been to some of their events. They do live events. It's all Black people coming together to talk about this exact topic, talking about mental health, talking about self-care, all of these things. And for Black people, by Black people, their little thing is together we can heal through education, training, and advocacy. They ain't gonna do it. Ain't nobody else gonna do it. So and then, I just like the website. Imagine a world where there are no barriers to Black healing. I'm just saying, the least y'all could do is go to the website.
That's the least. We'll put it in the description. We got you. Don't even worry about it.
Community.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah. I guess my
got you too. Oh shoot.
my last advice tip would be, no matter how much self-care you do, if your safe place is not safe, meaning your home environment, you're gonna always be on the go and always stressed. So if it's your room, like I said, reset your room, reset your space, create something that you feel safe in and or feel unstressed in, because a lot of us are victims of our environment. And like I said, if that's people and or certain ideas that they have and how they live their life, that's cool. But just know you can create a space within that stress-induced environment to live free and or not feel, I would say, pressured from the external influences. So, and I think that's the first step, is creating that safe place. Because if I feel happiness as soon as I walk out that door, but as soon as I come back, guess what? That's where you spend most of your time at. And if you're not, you're running for something.
Yeah. Figure out what self-care looks like for you. I think that's what it is. Figure out what self-care looks like for you, even if you have to test out a few things. And it looks different for everybody. And it don't mean spending money.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta go to the gym, put on them boxing gloves to beat up that boxing bag. You know what I'm saying? Yep.
That left wasn't right. The left wasn't left in.
It's all right.
The right hit it though.
That's all right.
All right, we out. That's it. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.